Blueprints for Addiction.
Hi! So I've been asked some pretty personal questions in my life. This is Indica, although she's more of a sativa, and she is my comfort animal. I was born in Montreal, Canada, and when I was a little girl, I was watching television. But part of it was very confusing because as the daughter of Holocaust survivors, I couldn't understand Hogan's Heroes. But I watched TV, and as a matter of fact, my mother once said to me as she was cleaning, she'd like hit the TV with Windex and polishing, goes, yeah, if the Nazis were as stupid as on Hogan's Heroes, I would have sisters. And then she'd like take off, you know, like comment and run. And but then I'd watch shows like Beverly Hillbillies, and so I'd say, Ma, where do they make these TV shows? Because I so wanted to be an actress, and I so wanted to live in good weather. You know, people just seem tanned and healthy. And anyway, so she said, in Hollywood. And I said, how much do you have to pay to be on TV? She said, idiot, they pay you. And I'm like, whoa, what a great job. And also, man, am I going to need therapy when I grow up. She was rather dismissive, Mom was. But you know, kind of Hitler spoiled her for regular suffering, because there was no problem that I ever had that could compare to what she went through. Like, I come home from school, Mom, the girls in school hate me. You think they liked me in Poland? It was really hard for her to understand. She didn't even understand teeth, because she lost her teeth in the forest fighting Nazis. And so when I told her I had a toothache, she gave me codeine. So by the time I was 12, I was riddled with cavities and hooked on hard drugs. Woohoo! And also, but I think really truthfully, the thing that made me an alcoholic, other than being predisposed to it, is that I think that I was just like born nervous, and then my mother scared me. So it was like I had in the fetus, I already had that kind of like anxiety. First of all, like, can I get out of here? Am I going to be okay? And also, can I get back in if I don't like it? You know, I just, because I could tell there was stuff out there in the womb. You know, a traumatized mother can give off some very nasty chemicals that have a tremendous effect. And the children and grandchildren of Holocaust survivors often suffer from traumas you'd never know. Like, why would the children and even the grandchildren have all these problems? Well, a lot of studies have been done, and it is definitely, you know, the Holocaust is the gift that keeps on giving. It is genetic. It changes the brains of Holocaust survivors. There's less gray matter. They don't do well with emotions. They have problems processing stuff that normal alcoholics are fine with. So I think that that by the time I was like a little girl, I was ready to get out of the house, move to California, and start acting. And I loved the Dick Van Dyke Show. I wanted to be either Laura Petrie or their kid Richie, because Richie just never got in trouble no matter what he did. Oh, Rob. You know, I did the whole Laura thing. I was so ready. I wanted to blink myself or twitch myself to LA. I'm like, I'm ready, man. Just give me
Cut by glitter.
So finally, I get a show in Montreal, and my co-star is Alan Thicke. Woohoo! And so I thought, okay, I have this fantasy. I'll get into an affair with Alan Thicke, and he'll ask me to come to Los Angeles, and I'll live with him. Whoa! It all came true. I did have an affair with him. He did ask me to star on his new sitcom called Fernwood Tonight in Los Angeles, and I did live with him. There were problems. I got a car, and I said, like, thanks to my parents, and I headed south, made a right at Ohio, I drove here. And then I called Alan, and he said, oh, sure, come on over. Let me introduce you to my wife. What? What? Say what? And he said, oh, yeah, like, I could either tell her you're my friend or my lover. And I'm like, friend's good. Friend works for me. Just say I'm your friend. And then I finally get to the studio to play my part, the one I created for this Fernwood Tonight. Oh, she was so like spiritual. You know, her moon was in Uranus. And anyway, so I go to the studio and he has cast another actress in the part. He introduces her to me on the set. And then I went across the street to the Denny's and got really drunk. Then I came back and Norman Lear was there. And it was those old cameras, you know, the old cameras with the square. For millennials watching this on YouTube, you have no idea. There used to be these things called flash bulbs, and they go on top of cameras. And cameras were a separate thing. Anyway, so what happened was it jammed, it fell. I was sweating. Norman Lear was so nice. He couldn't have been nicer. He was so sweet and patient while I was trying to get like a selfie with him. And no such thing as selfies then, remember? And then Alan came over. He had seen the whole thing. After Norman left, he said, "You'll never work in this town." And he kicked me out. So I was going to like jump off Mulholland because that's where he lived. I was living with him at the time. And him and Gloria Loring, a soap star. I mean, it's a little overwhelming for this little 21-year-old from Montreal who just, you know, just wanted to come here, be on a show and smoke some weed, you know, get a tan. Anyway, so that's how I came to LA from Montreal. So what's your next question?
Shape Up LA.
Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Shape Up LA, yes,
Yeah,
what about it?
You were coined as the first life coach, Hollywood's first life coach.
I was asked to be on TV shows, and they didn't know what to call me because I didn't have a degree, but I did speak like a doctor. So one show called me a life coach. And they did a wonderful segment on me and showed all these little bits and pieces from 10 years of Shape Up LA, the show I did for public access TV. It was later picked up by Channel America, which was a satellite. And I got a letter from Mississippi, 3 pages, 1 sentence. A man there was telling me how he could relate to my feelings as a recovering alcoholic. I did the show, I did Shape Up LA because I wanted people to know that they didn't have to die from alcoholism. As of today, July the something, 2019, I am 36 years sober, okay? 36 years ago. I got sober before it was trendy. When I started Shape Up LA in 1984, I was about 6 months sober. And I wanted people to know that they didn't have to die from overdose or alcoholism. And so I created this Shape Up LA because I'd become an aerobics instructor. The reason I became an instructor is not because I was like a fitness nut. Au contraire, I forged notes to get myself out of gym all the time. No, I was always big, fat. I just didn't want to be fat again because I've been on the cocaine diet for 6 years and I love being thin. So I thought, well, you know what, they should, if I'm going to exercise, you know, they should pay me. I really do want to get paid. But I kept at it until one day I didn't get fired. And then I kept teaching for 15 years and began Shape Up LA, a combination of what I knew from being an aerobics instructor, because there was a lot of great training. Also, I was married to a chiropractor, and getting sober. So I put the 3 all together. The reason I got sober was because, look, I was an agoraphobic, and I tried to like live through other people. So I lived through this guy I was married to, the chiropractor, and I was always afraid he was going to leave me because I was such a bad drunk. He was a good drunk because he'd just get quiet. And if he felt he was going to fall down, he would sit down. I never had such warnings. I just, you know. So what happened was that one night we were at a big Beverly Hills gala. It was his patient. And he was warning me like not to get too drunk. So like I had to take my Quaaludes and drink in the closet. Anyway, so finally I get to the party. And there was no alcohol. But I found some in the kitchen, Smirnoffs. It wasn't even open, but you know, I opened it up, I poured a glass, and that's the last thing I remember until I woke up in the Christmas tree. And everyone at the party was looking at me. I think the music actually stopped. And to make things worse, I was in this beautiful silk dress, but I hadn't quite learned the importance of underwear at that point. So I had knocked the tree over, and the reason I know I had knocked it over because I was the only one in the tree, and I was like trying to be cool. You know, I pulled the skirt down, and I'm like trying to put together this little plastic baby Jesus, and hoping no one would notice. They would just go away. And then I went back into my blackout. And then the next day, my husband, the chiropractor, was going to leave again. You know how many times he's gone to the cleaners because he had to press his suits because he'd throw all his clothes in the trunk, and then I'd beg him not to leave, and he wouldn't leave. You know, I was, well, I'll never do it again. I was the queen of I'll never do it again. And I wouldn't do it for like a day. You know, anyway, so the next morning, he said I should call the patient whose party it was and apologize. So I called and I said, you know, how's the tree? And she said, well, the tree's fine, we're fine. But are you aware that that was an Alcoholics Anonymous Christmas party and that you were the only drunk person there? Of course, I hadn't been aware of much at that time. I told her no, and she said that she'd love to take me to a meeting, and I told her that I bet she would. But I said that just was like a thing that rarely happened, that I was going to control my drinking from now on. And of course, I just, that's when I really started drinking, like around the clock. Couldn't control it at all. Ended up in AA. Who'd have thought?
Hi, I'm Hanala, and I'm an alcoholic.
So here we are 36 years later. I never did have another drink. But I just want to say that the first year of sobriety, I wanted to drink every single day. So what I did was I went to a lot of meetings and I gave away the program. And one of the reasons that I started Shape Up LA is because I needed to help others so I could help myself. And fast forward about 10, 15 years, a woman comes up to me after I shared in an AA meeting, you know, stalking me nicely in the bathroom, which it was nice. I thought she was going to talk to me about my ex-husband, so many do. But she said, no, I used to watch you on Channel 3. And one day I just thought, you know what? I'm going to try one of those meetings. And she's been sober ever since. So at least I hope she's still sober. So it's been quite a successful show, even though I never turned it into a talk show. We came very close. I had a lot of close calls, almost big deals. It didn't quite happen. But then I turned it into, you know, the thing that came up about 12 years ago at YouTube? Yeah, I heard about it 12 years ago. So I uploaded, and here we are, 300 million views later. So it turned out to be a good thing. Shape Up LA became Comedy Wellness. So really the brand started in 1983. And I practice what I preach. Like, look at that teeny waistline. Yay, core work.
30-year overnight success.
I married a guy I ordinarily wouldn't have pizza with. How did that happen? I was so determined to look at the positives that I buried all the red flags. I convinced myself I really wanted it to work. And what I would say to my young self if I could go back in time is, please, little Hanala, please, I know you want them to be the answer, but please see people for who they are rather than who you wish they were.
Yeah, that's a hell of a thing, Mama.
Right. It's a hell of a thing. I was married to, oh God, I don't even want to say his name, kind of Voldemort-ish, but I swear to you, he looked just like George Clooney when he moved in and Wolverine when he moved out. So, Wolverine, as my mother would say. Wolverine. So, yes. What else? Oh, epiphany. Okay. You asked about an epiphany, and the first thing that came to my mind, and sometimes you just got to go with it. The first thing that came to mind was, one time I was in therapy. I was in therapy for 22 years, like 3 times a week. I'm telling you, you would think I would remember more and have more epiphanies. However, this one was quite significant. I was telling Katie how my mother won't do this. She won't listen. And Katie leaned in and she said, can't. And I'm like, huh? Can't listen. It just kind of changed everything, because I was trying to, why won't you listen? Why won't you listen? I felt like I did when I was a little girl with her. What? And sometimes, when we get traumatized or we really want something or we're hurt, we can regress back to that, what, hopeless, or they should know, and like just snotty and mean girlish or victimish. And I stopped attacking my mother. And I started being her big defender. And then what she did was she wanted to know more about me and how I felt. And she wasn't feeling threatened that I was at any minute going to tell her that she's a terrible mother.
Subscribe to the channel so I can go home.
Subscribe.
Ring the bell.